YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back. And today we got running back rankings for the 2020 NFL season. Just yesterday did quarterback rankings, ranked every starting quarterback from worst to first, 32 to 1. Today, top 32 NFL running backs for 2020. Very important. It's for 2020. Rookies can be included in any of these rankings because it's for this season. Rookies will play. Another thing to keep in mind, I don't really base a lot of stuff off stats in the past. How players played in the past factors into how I think they'll play, obviously, but I think most people just kind of focus on the past. We're moving forward here, and we will do every single position group, top 32 running backs in just a moment. Would appreciate a subscription to both of our channels, trying to reach 60K by week 1 of the NFL season. I think that's very doable, so we need your support there. Anybody who has been subscribed already, really appreciate you. Follow that Twitter. We got polls where you guys vote for the best QB that's going on right now. We're going to do running backs. We're kind of going to play along as I upload these videos. You're going to want to follow that Twitter and check out the podcast. Link in the description and comments, anything that you may need. Running back rankings. Let's start at the bottom here. A lot of good running backs. But starting at 32, I got Jordan Howard of the Dolphins. He was looking pretty good when he was on the field last year for the Eagles there. Some missed time, obviously, but the Dolphins get him along with Matt Breida. So there may be some splitting there, so that kind of weighs him down. Maybe more talented than number 32, but because this is for this year, essentially predictions, he may not get incredible numbers or incredible production. But I think a pretty underrated back. I thought he was very solid for the Eagles when he was in there last year. 31, I have DeAndre Swift of the Detroit Lions here, and maybe this, I don't think it's that bold, but maybe people expect to see Kerryon Johnson. So here's the thing about Kerryon Johnson. I think a very talented back. I think well inside the top 32. If we're just going off talent, take away how many snaps, reps, carries, whatever, what team they're on, take that away. Kerryon Johnson, very talented. But for the 2020 season, he's been very solid when he's been in. That's early in the year, has his injuries. Almost at this point, you almost could expect him to miss some time. I hate saying that, but the major thing here, that's really not, because he's played well when he's in there. Major thing is they draft DeAndre Swift with an early second-round pick. The Lions, with other needs, they don't take a starting caliber running back with an early second-round pick just to play him 50% of the time. I think this guy's going to get the load, so that's why DeAndre Swift has made the list, but he will split with Kerryon Johnson. He is a guy, a rookie that I think can make an impact early, but a guy that may take some reps to really get going, going away from that heavy zone scheme at Georgia there. So, but it makes the cut here. At number 30, got Devin Singletary, which was very impressive last year for the rookie out of Florida Atlantic. So, I think he really got better down the stretch too. So, an impressive young running back here. But now they bring in Zach Moss. So, I don't think it'll be quite a 50-50 split. Maybe a 60-40 around there. Devin Singletary, you can't really go away from him being the starter. But if you look at it, Singletary, still you can view him as a prospect. It's only going to be his second year. We saw a good amount of him last year, but, as much as other starting running backs, we didn't see as much. Zach Moss, a prospect, because he hasn't played it down yet. You compare the prospects together. Zach Moss was the better running back prospect. That doesn't mean he's going to be better. That doesn't mean he's going to be the starter full time or anything or get the most carries. But that's something that keep in mind when watching the Bills this season. Still very young prospects here. 29, the Bears running back David Montgomery. And they also have Tariq Cohen as well, but they're limiting his carries. He's more of just a weapon, hybrid player. David Montgomery in his second year is a very strong back in between, inside the tackles. I expect him to be a pretty good goal line back, short yardage back. Just not enough speed and quickness in the open field. Maybe that's kind of what hurts him a little bit. But, one of those top guys in terms of breaking tackles I expect going forward. Almost feels like, even though he's still going to be a good back, of course, especially with kind of a newer look offense, potentially Nick Foles, it almost feels like at the same time, he's about 5-10 years too late. It seems like he's that old school type of running back, but he can still be. There's still a few of those guys thriving in today's NFL. And speaking of the old school guy, I got like Adrian Peterson of the Redskins. Ranking these Redskins running backs are pretty tough because they got so many of them. Darius Geis, can we trust him to stay healthy? A very solid back in terms of talent, probably top 32. They have Bryce Love, of course, too. They have Antonio Gibson now, who can play a bit of running back and receiver. But Peterson just seems to be the top guy for them, and I still think he has a little bit of juice left in the tank. Always motivated there, so I got him at 28. Miles Sanders at 27 of the Eagles, of course. Pretty good rookie season. Like the way he catches the ball in the backfield. I thought it was almost better when they had, Jordan Howard actually still, even though Miles Sanders is a rookie, so it's okay. It seemed like Jordan Howard was kind of the better guy. They felt like they needed that type of back in there for everything to kind of work out. But then they really got Miles, and that was kind of the first half of the year. Then they really got Miles Sanders going. But that offense, I think that type of shifty, back that can get outside, catch the ball, but he's also strong enough to run inside. So I think any of those backs kind of thrive there. Had a bit of a fumbling problem at Penn State, so we'll see if he can continue to hang on to the football here. With the Eagles, I would like another back to complement him pretty well. I think that'll make him better. I don't know if he's an every down back compared to some of these other guys. David Johnson of the Texans now traded, has been struggling recently. He's had injuries, but then he's been struggling recently. But more of a system that kind of fits him. I think he plays a little better this year. He hasn't been top 32 the last couple years, in my opinion. But I think he definitely plays better this year for the Texans than he was in a totally different system with the Arizona Cardinals. 25, I got a rookie, and people get mad about the rookies. 25, Clyde Edwards-Helaire was my number one running back in the draft class. Perfect fit for the Chiefs. The guy is strong enough to run inside, but he catches the ball out of the backfield. Almost better than anybody we've seen since Christian McCaffrey. So, he's that good. Not out of the backfield and downfield. You can line him up as a slot as well. It's so perfect for the Chiefs offense. This is a rookie running back that is going to be a very solid one for sure. It's just, he's good, but he's such a perfect fit. And I know people are going to say he's unproven. Well, so I don't know if those people want me to not rank rookies or put them at the bottom just because they're unproven. That would be rankings of last year then, and we're moving past last year. Rookies will be ranked in my rankings because we're predicting this year. We're moving forward. Everyone's looking forward to 2020 season. Hopefully it happens. Edwards-Helaire is going to be a force though with the Chiefs. Next 8 teams. Some interesting things here. Starting at the bottom here, 24, Melvin Gordon of the Broncos. A lot of people think Gordon will kind of be their guy. It's tough. It's tough to predict this, but I'm leaning towards Lindsey. Lindsey's been so good for them at the same time where he's still fresh. He's still a young talent and can do everything. Even though he's smaller, he can run. He can hit any hole and he can catch the ball out of the backfield. That's the bonus. It's just hard for me. Even though Gordon's been so good in his career, such a good running back, it's hard for me to see them go away from Lindsey. But you see them both. You take their individual talents, Lindsey and Gordon, they're better than this. Their talents are better than top 17, 24. They're better. They're going to split about 50-50. I think Lindsey's their main guy still, and they're going to do more with Lindsey. Melvin Gordon, I did not like his game last year. If this was based on last year, he would be very close to not even making this list. I don't think he had a good season. I think he has a better season this year, but again, there's going to be some splitting. I guess maybe somewhat similar to Gordon and EKELER, but Lindsey's going to get a lot more carries than EKELER did last year with Gordon. So it's a tough prediction here. I still like Lindsey. I think both. Again, I think in terms of talent, takeaway, just say every running back on the same team got the same amount of carries. They would be much better ranked than this, but that's really not how it works. Everyone's on their own team. Everyone's got their own reps, their carries. So that's why these guys are there. Kenyon Drake at 23, another tough one to rank because Kenyon Drake was kind of just, when he was on the Dolphins, he was kind of, would you make this list? Probably not. And then he goes to the Cardinals, and you kind of wonder, is he going to fit that system? And he fits it so perfectly that it looks like one of the, he was playing like a top 10 back when he was on there, which is this going to continue? I don't see why not, but it's tough to rank him at this moment. Any higher than this because I also got other guys I think that are going to step up as well. So it's kind of a wait and see. Let's see what Kenyon Drake could do. He was looking really good, down the stretch there with the Cardinals. 22, I got Sony Michel. Sony Michel probably doesn't make this list if it's based off last year, but it's still a really good prospect, really strong runner. I think the open fields where he's underrated, he's pretty shifty, and he can elude, a lot of defenders, of course. I think they're going to focus on running the ball a little more, kind of getting that down. So I think Sony Michel really starts to. He looked pretty darn good a couple years ago. When the Patriots had their run, he was a monster in the playoffs. I think we can see some more of that. Sony Michel. That Sony Michel almost looked like easily a top 15, maybe top 10 back. He looked that good in that playoff run just a couple years ago. Last year, a little bit of a struggle. There wasn't as many holes in the inside, so maybe starting to step it up a little bit. Kareem Hunt, technically, is a number 2. But again, one of those situations where if you take every running back, you give them the same amount of carries on the same team behind the same offensive line. Kareem Hunt is much better than number 21. But yeah, he's going to split with Nick Chubb. They got a system that will involve the running backs very heavily. They want to run the ball anywhere, and they want to throw the ball to the back. Out of the backfield mainly, but downfield as well. We're going to see a lot of slip screens with Kareem Hunt. So this guy's going to be heavily involved. It's number 2, so it might be surprising to see a number 2 ahead of some number 1s. But he will be involved. He will be involved heavily. Number 20, Raheem Mostert, of course. It's another tough one to rank because Mostert was looking like an absolute beast down the stretch last season. They have a number of other running backs. Of course, a guy like Tevin Coleman stands out. Jerick McKinnon's back. We'll see if he stays healthy. I sure hope so for his sake there. They paid him quite a bit of money at the time. It's still quite a bit of money because he fits Shanahan's offense so well. So we're going to see a pretty big running back room again. So that kind of hurts Mostert's production, but I still put him at 20 because he's a darn good back, and I think they're starting to realize that this guy's legit. He's R1. He's our guy, even though I do like Tevin Coleman a lot too. But so I put Mostert at 20, another tough one to rank there. Le'Veon Bell at 19. I don't think he is the same as he once was. I do think he's very talented still. I think he's probably more talented than 19. You factor in he's on the Jets. Offensive line definitely got better, though. But then you factor in Gase. Gase does not like to run the ball a lot. He's kind of proven that over his career. He's very picky, I guess, when he wants to run the ball. So that is the reason Bell is at 19. James Conner, another guy that's probably much more talented, definitely much more talented, number 18. But you hate saying it. It's almost you almost are confident in a bad way that he will miss some snaps, miss some games here. And there are very talented running backs with against him here in these types of rankings. So Connor down at 18. Talked about Lindsey when I talked about Gordon. I like Lindsey. You got a guy you got to respect too, and he's proven it. Still young. Can do a bit of everything. It's gonna be interesting. It's a good situation to have here. It's a good situation to have that you don't know which one's your guy because you got a very special duo. I think there'll be about 50-50, but you would have to think, if somebody's gonna start, if somebody's gonna get more of the variety of plays, you would have to think their own. Their guy that they've been riding with, Philip Lindsay. But I think more talented than number 17, but just because he's splitting and this is kind of base 2020, that's where I got him. We're moving on with these sexy graphics here. 16 to 13. Number 60, I got Austin Ekeler. He's the guy there. They have Justin Jackson. They drafted Joshua Kelly, some guys that fit really well. I was calling for Ekeler more and more last year. It seemed like every time Ekeler got the ball, whether it was a run, whether it was a catch out of the backfield, downfield, it was electric. I thought he was the most explosive and game-changing player on that team, in that offense last year. I was very upset with the Chargers that they were not getting the ball more. Melvin Gordon was off his game last year. I think a little rust maybe, fumbling the ball a bit. I think there was some crucial moments where they needed a yard, they needed 2 yards, third down, fourth down, goal line. I think it was a Titans game. Game plays like that. Gordon didn't really show up where you expected him to. Ekeler needed to be involved more. It feels like he's the guy now, so he makes the top 16 because of that. Yeah, you want to see him run inside a little better, but he can do a variety of everything. Leonard Fournette at 15. Fournette's one of those guys that takes a lot of ripping, I think. Maybe because he didn't live up to the hype. Maybe because he's upset where he's at. You don't like that attitude. But he's a very solid back, and we started to see him pick it up last year in a heavy run, short game system. Heavy run, a lot of runs, a lot of short game for the Jaguars, and it got predictable. But he was still running at a pretty high level. So another one of those guys. I think more talented than 15, but he's not happy where he's at. It doesn't seem like he wants to play, but he's definitely going to play. He's definitely their lead back, so it's not even close. So he still makes the top 15, but I think he's better than this. But because of those factors and where he's at, he's in Jacksonville. That kind of weighs him down a little bit. I might surprise maybe people with 14, Marlon Mack. I like Marlon Mack a lot. I liked him out of South Florida a ton. This guy has been a total package running back. And the Colts are a confusing part too. Maybe to some people, because they drafted Jonathan Jonathan Taylor from Wisconsin. That's a home run hitting running back. Very good career at Wisconsin, and he could at the end of the day be a top 32 back. But I'm sitting here. I do worry about his fumbling a bit, and he had a ton of carries at Wisconsin. But I'm thinking, who are they going to play more? Marlon Mack has been really good for them, and he's been, you see the difference when he's out of the game. They're missing Marlon Mack big time, and he's been getting better and better every step of the way. He can do a bit of everything. He's got the explosive runs. He has the home run runs too, in my opinion. So I just think it'll be a colossal mistake to give Jonathan Taylor the load. He definitely deserves some carries. Marlon Mack is their one. He deserves most of those carries. Jonathan Taylor, I think he had to limit his carries because Marlon Mack's better, I think, and because of his fumbling situation. But Jonathan Taylor's in there for those home run plays. You want to, get him the ball outside. I mean, he can run inside, but you want to get him those home run plays. You don't need him to give him the load. So, and I believe that's the smart thing. That's logical. It's the obvious smart thing. I believe the Colts will be on the same kind of page as I am here. So Marlon Mack, I still think gets the load. The future definitely could be Jonathan Taylor. So I'm a Marlon Mack fan, always have been. I got Todd Gurley at 13. This is a guy I keep moving up. Recently I'm believing more and more in Todd Gurley. Is he that number one back in football like he was a few years ago? He's not. His knees kind of failed him a little bit, but he's still going strong though. We know he's got arthritis in his knees. That's tough. He got some wear on him. That's what happens when he gets that many carries at Georgia and he's had that many injuries. It's what happens. It's what happens with the running backs. But he's still going strong. Look at the Rams. Why was Jared Goff struggling last year more than he was the year before? The offensive line let him down. Why was Todd Gurley not getting as much action, as much production? The offensive line let him down as well. That interior offensive line was one of the very worst, it may be the very worst, in football in the Rams. The Falcons' offensive line hasn't been the same last year as it was a few years ago, but they've kind of built it kind of back up. They drafted a guy a year ago like Chris Lindstrom. That guard position, that interior offensive line position is going to get better this year for Todd Gurley. So I'm starting to believe in Todd Gurley. So I got him a top 15 back this year. And you also look at production-wise, I think he'll have, if as long as he's healthy, he'll have a good amount of production because there's really no one competing with Todd Gurley, to split. Other guys will get carries, but Gurley's going to get the load. Hopefully that's okay for him but again, they pass the ball so much. It's such a perfect situation for Todd Gurley. I think, he's growing on me more and more. Gurley, Falcons, it's growing on me more and more. So that's number 13. Next up, we got Mark Ingram at 12. They do draft my number 2 back in the class, J.K. Dobbins from Ohio State. Maybe he can make his way up the list. I still think this is Mark Ingram's team. I did not predict Mark Ingram to be as good as he was last year, and I'm glad I was, somewhat wrong on that because I had him on my fantasy team, and he was absolutely big time. Absolutely big time. He looked like a whole new back. He's always been very solid, but I just don't see them kind of going away from that. He's going to lose some carries because it's a tough part because they get such a good back in J.K. Dobbins. Justice Hill's a pretty good shifty back. Gus Edwards, of course, but Justice Hill's in his second year, so they want to get all these guys more carries. But I almost feel like Dobbins is they're getting him ready to be the next Mark Ingram. So I still think, you got yourself, you were the best team in the regular season, with this guy, and not because of this guy, obviously, but he was a part of it, of course. So I just don't think you can go away from that. So I still got him top 12, maybe a little bold. Aaron Jones of the Packers, who was well inside the top 11. I had him top 5 back last year. I thought he was phenomenal. I was very impressed with Aaron Jones last year, and that was kind of his best year, so you could argue he's going to continue to get better, and that makes sense. But Packers kind of pull a shocker on us. Draft A.J. Dillon in the second round. You don't draft a running back that high, especially when you're good at that position. You have other needs, unless you plan on doing something with it. There's some people saying a little bit of a scheme change. It does look like that because Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon a little different. You feel like Aaron Jones is more of a zone scheme runner, which I prefer with what you got there. A.J. Dillon more of a man scheme, power runner. You got to change the whole blocking scheme. So I don't think they changed that much. They made it to the NFC Championship game. Yeah, the offense was a little disappointing. I think that's a good thing. If you made it to the NFC Championship game, the offense you definitely expect more from. It's kind of a good thing. And you have Jamal Williams in there as well. I even like Dexter Williams. I don't expect him really to get anything, but I liked him as a prospect. But I think Aaron Jones, his reps go down. I think they go down here, which is a shame. They really shouldn't, but I think they do. But being at number 11, I think he's very talented, obviously. So I still like Aaron Jones. It's interesting to see what they do there. So it could be a similar situation, like I said, with the Colts. I think it's, even though they got Jonathan Taylor very solid, it could be a colossal mistake, as I like to put it, playing him more than Marlon Mack or even just as much. Same thing here. This would be even more confusing, I think, if they really split Aaron Jones with the other guys. I think he gets the most carries, but it's questionable right now. I got Josh Jacobs at number 10, and this starts to show how good running backs in the NFL are right now. Josh Jacobs, what a legendary rookie season, and even missed some games too. Very tough runner, and I think where he's underrated too is being shifty in the open field as well, faster than you think, quicker than you think mainly. But he makes the top 10 cut. And he could, statistically, he definitely could be even better than this. It's just some really good backs here. Number 9, I got Joe Mixon. People forget about Joe Mixon. I think most people are going to have him around 10, top 12 probably. Here's the thing with Joe Mixon. This is a very talented dude, was a first-round talent in a legendary running back class, easily dropped because of off-the-field issues, of course. Joe Mixon last year had a pretty darn productive year, given that he probably had the worst run blocking in the league. I would say, we talk about the Rams have up there. I would give it to the Bengals. So that was pretty impressive what he was able to do. So now you get a better quarterback to kind of make adjustments. You get a guy like Jonah Williams back who can play guard, but I think he plays on the outside. It's still kind of a problem. I think it'll be much better than last year, which was dead last, so it's not saying much, but it's still, the offensive line could hurt him a bit. I think he's more talented than number 9 probably. He probably has more to his game than being number 9, but that's where the Bengals are at. But I think obviously I think highly of Joe Mixon. We're on to the 8 through 5. We got Zeke at number 8. And I think most people put him top 5. I think he's a very good back. Obviously, I have him at number 8 in a good group of running backs here. I don't think he's quite as good. He hasn't really declined. I don't want to put it that way, but I don't think he's quite as good as he was a few years ago. Maybe lost a little bit of a step, but still very, very solid number 8 running back here. But Mike McCarthy coming in there, I really think that the Cowboys are going to throw. They already did, but they're going to throw the hell out of the ball. They really are. So, maybe not. Very good production, obviously, but maybe not quite as good as production as some of the other guys there. But I do have Zeke at number 8, still a top 10 back easily. I got Chris Carson at 7. Maybe I'm one of those people that are on the Chris Carson train. I think he's very underrated. I think he's a heck of a back. Not too many of these big body backs can survive in today's NFL, and Chris Carson does it. You got to respect it because he has more than his game than just being an inside runner. He's way more to his game there. This dude is tough to tackle. It is so perfect for the Seahawks offense. They wear you down. They run the ball. They pound the ball. They wear you down. Second half, unleash Russell Wilson, but Chris Carson's still a factor. And we got to see what happens when Chris Carson is not on the Seahawks, when he's taken out of that system. It is a disaster. There is no running game whatsoever. Chris Carson is so important to this team, and he's such a good runner. It's ridiculous. I think he's extremely underrated. I got him at number 7. I think just because he's so important to the team, I almost want to put him higher in this. But I'm a big Chris Carson guy. Nick Chubb at number 6, statistically better than number 6 last year. Obviously very impressive. I think his open field speed is what impresses me, because we knew the strength, we knew he can do a variety of the run inside, run outside, but the speed in the open field looks like he's gotten faster, which is crazy because he's been beat up at Georgia. He's had the injuries, he's had kind of the wear, almost like the Todd Gurley route. So can he keep doing this? He's still young enough, still getting better. Where yes, he can. I got him at number 6, so obviously I think he can. But yeah, maybe a little more splitting with Kareem Hunt, but that shows how good he is. Kareem Hunt's going to be more involved in the Stefanski offense, but I still got Nick Chubb at top 6 back. So you see how good he is here. And now they bring in Stefanski, heavy run scheme. They're going to throw the ball to the backs a bit. Stefanski with the Vikings did get predictable down the stretch. Cook and Madison absolutely tearing it up early. It started to get predictable, so that's the only thing I worry about with this offense with Stefanski. But it's going to favor the backs. There's some good schemed up plays for the running backs, and it actually schemes up some things to the offensive line as well. It makes it easier on them. So Chubb will be good once again. We're going to see some Kareem Hunt in there as well. Alvin Kamara at 5. Alvin Kamara was not a top 5 back last year, of course. I think he was dealing with a little bit. He didn't see himself last year. It almost felt like Latavius Murray, who probably was another guy that just missed his cut. But the reason he didn't is because I'm going with Kamara being number 5. I think Kamara kind of goes back to form, maybe even better. I'm very high on him. It's pretty easy to determine who has the best running back traits, who can hit the hole, who can see the hole, who can hit the hole. That's number 1 for me. Do you have anything extra? Of course, Kamara has extra, and that's why I was very high on him out of Tennessee. But I'm banking on him kind of getting back to form, the correct form this year. So I think there was some minor injuries in there last year. Obviously, a very good receiving back as well. It's a top 5 back if he is to form, if he's fully healthy. So maybe taking a risk putting him in the top 5 ahead of a guy like Nick Chubb, Zeke. Maybe it's a little bit of a bold, maybe a little bit of a risk, but I think he can get back to where he was playing. The top 4 now, the big 4. I think the top 3 really separate themselves. I think number 4 is kind of with these guys here. I do have Dalvin Cook at 4. Maybe like Kamara, you can see the traits. You can see the traits right away. Can he hit the hole? Can he find the hole? Can he hit the hole? Can you see the hole? Can you hit the hole? That's the most important thing. And Dalvin Cook might be number 1 in the league doing that. I don't think anybody sees it and hits it faster than Dalvin Cook. I really don't. And then he has the elusiveness, the speed after the hole as well. You catch the ball in the backfield, run it down, pretty deep as well. Maybe have that home run playability. So in the first half of the season, that was showing. We're going through the first half of the season last year, and we're talking about Dalvin Cook, maybe the best back in football. And the thing about him is, even with these injuries, people still easily consider him top 10, well in the top 10. So it shows how good he is, and that's kind of where the traits come up. He has the traits. But, he can't be considered in the big 3 because he does have these injuries that keep popping up. He still plays most of the season. He's still highly productive, obviously. But we need, for him to be considered number 1, which I think he has the traits to be, or top 3, we need to see him stay healthy. And now he's holding out. I don't think that keeps up. If it does, then Alexander Mattison will definitely be in this list because he had a very good rookie year, and he's a very solid back. But just misses the cut because I do think Cook kind of gets the load again. But we're gonna see. Now on to the big top 3 here. Back and forth on all 3 of these really, and Christian McCaffrey has been so dominant. One of the better non-quarterbacks in football, of course. Excellent catching the ball out of the backfield and downfield lineup as a slot. And now Joe Brady in there with the Panthers. I think we can actually see more of that. Here is the reason why I have 2 guys ahead of an elite player like Christian McCaffrey. I am worried about that interior offense line for the Panthers. I am very worried about it. It's very weak on paper right now. We'll see how it plays. And that could hurt the running game. So the running game is going to be tougher for McCaffrey this year. The actual running game, especially inside, is going to be much, much tougher, based on what we're looking at here with the interior offense line. He's still going to be a very productive, very, very good runner, and he's still going to catch the ball out of the backfield and downfield a ton. But that was kind of the deciding factor for me. So the offensive line maybe could let him down a little bit when talking about the very best of the elite running backs here with the top 3 elite guys. And Derrick Henry, I got at number 2. Just a dominant, similar to Chris Carson. Not too many of those big guys, how I explained about him. So many of those big guys that can still play in today's NFL because they can do so much. They're more than just a big guy. Probably the toughest guy to tackle in football. Was just so dominant for them. The question is, does everyone load the box? Let's stop Derrick Henry first. Tannehill's going to have to prove himself. That could be something that happens. It could be tougher on Derrick Henry. I think, that they had a guy like Nate Davis, a rookie last year, starting, down the stretch, and then actually made the run game better. So I think he can continue to improve too. So I think the interior offense line actually could be better this year. So that's kind of the positive there. And he's just such a tough runner. Last year I had him in the top 5 in this video a year ago, and people absolutely ripped me. He ended up being the best back in football last year. So I expect Derrick. I'm a big believer, obviously, at Derrick Henry. I always have been. So I have Derrick Henry at 2. I have Saquon Barkley at number 1. And I keep mentioning the top 3 guys are elite. Has Saquon Barkley been elite, though? I don't think he's been elite. He hasn't been the number 1 running back. He hasn't been that. He's missed some games. But you look at just everything. I'm a big guy in the traits. Total package in terms of traits. He can see the hole, he can hit the hole, but he has so much extra too. So much extra. So everyone knows it was just a matter of time until this guy was going to be the #1 running back in football. Everyone knew it's going to happen. It hasn't been yet. He has not been the best running back in football yet. I'm thinking this year. They kind of been playing it safe with him with some injuries. Just, he's young. He's our feature guy, franchise piece. It's kind of holding him out. He wanted to play. Smart move. So anything minor this year still, they probably could pull him again to be safe, because the Giants, even though they can be a sneaky team, want to play things safe because they're a future team mainly. They're not going to win anything now. They're not going to win a Super Bowl now, of course. So that could be the only reason why he's not #1. But I mean, Saquon Barkley is the total package, absolute freak. So I'm kind of banking on him kind of reaching that, busting loose, right now. So tough to rank these top 3 guys, and they're in kind of a group with themselves there. So you see some small factors that are splitting them up. But yeah, a lot we went over in this video. You let me know your guys' thoughts on this one. Talking too much, starting to lose my voice here. But yeah, I'd love to see your thoughts in the comments. Go ahead and rip me. These rankings come with a lot of ripping, and it's good. It's good to see. It's fun to see those. So we did our quarterbacks. This is the running backs, and we're going to move on to receivers and so on next. Please subscribe to both channels and follow that Twitter. It's a must follow. Link down below, description comments for anything you may need. Really appreciate the support. Thank you for watching this video. That's going to do it. Goodbye.